The game against the Browns was already shaping up to be tough, but now things just got even more complicated. The Ravens got the kind of news nobody wants to hear. Isaiah Likely is out again, and that changes a lot because he's not just any player. His absence leaves a huge gap in the offense and raises a big question that could shake the whole team. How much longer can the Ravens keep going without their tight end on the field? Ravens fans were hoping for some good news to start the week, but reality hit hard. Isaiah Likely is out again after missing the season opener against the Buffalo Bills. He won't be on the field this Sunday against the Cleveland Browns either. That leaves a massive hole in the offense. This isn't just another absence. It's a missing piece of a puzzle that's been seen as essential for the team's immediate future. It feels like the offense is running without one of its main gears. Likely isn't just a name on the roster. He's someone who brings balance to the offensive system, whether it's catching passes or helping open space for the running game. Without him, options are limited, and the team loses exactly the player who can make a difference in the tightest moments of a game. And this impact is even bigger when you remember that the Ravens couldn't find their rhythm against the Bills last week. Now, facing a divisional rival like the Browns, Likely's absence adds even more pressure on Lamar Jackson and the rest of the offense. Every time the team needs a safe play through the middle, there's that nagging thought. This is where Likely would have stepped in. The frustrating part? This absence comes right when expectations for him were sky high. Since arriving in 2022, the tight end has improved every season, and many already saw him as a guy ready to take over position. Seeing that moment delayed not only shakes the game plan, but also affects confidence for a fully functional offense this year. And that brings up the big question. If Likely isn't ready yet, what's keeping him off the field? That's where the foot injury he suffered back in training camp becomes central to the story. What keeps Isaiah Likely sidelined is an issue that started back in training camp. A tricky foot injury that has prevented him from even light practice. Since then, he's been completely out, unable to step on the field, which explains why the Ravens have handled this situation so carefully. You can't risk rushing him in September and losing him for the rest of the season. This kind of injury is complicated because there's no magic fix. Every step has to be calculated. It's pain, it's discomfort, it's the feeling that you can't push off the right way. And for a tight end who needs to explode on routes and be physical in blocks, any limitation in the foot changes everything. The whole body relies on that foundation to perform on the field. Fans, of course, get impatient. Seeing Likely out for 2 straight weeks only adds to the frustration, especially with the high expectations for him this season. But the Ravens can't afford to skip steps. Rushing him back too soon carries a real risk of worsening the injury, which could cause even bigger setbacks. So, even though it's hard to accept his absence in such important games, there's a clear reason behind the decision. The injury is still a barrier to overcome, and the team would rather lose a couple weeks now than have Likely out for 2 months later. The good news? This week finally brought the first signs that this wait might be coming to an end. After weeks on the sidelines, we finally saw Isaiah Likely back on the practice field. It wasn't full participation, but it was a breath of hope. He took part in limited activities, ran some routes, did specific blocking drills, and trained under the watchful eyes of tight ends coach George Godsey. It was small, but meaningful. The first time he really moved since the injury. Even controlled, this return carries a lot of weight. It's not just about testing the foot. It's about regaining confidence. The player feels he can plant, accelerate, and execute the basic movements of the position. For the team, it's a way to gauge where he is and plan the next steps more clearly. The key detail, all of this was done without contact, at a pace still far from game speed. It shows the process isn't over, but just seeing him on the field again already changes the conversation. What was once worry is now mixed with a growing sense of anticipation. His return feels closer than it did a few weeks ago. And it wasn't just the practice itself that caught attention. John Harbaugh, usually cautious in situations like this, even showed a bit of excitement when talking about Likely, reinforcing the sense that the process is on track. If the coach is confident, it means the staff believes this comeback isn't just symbolic. It's real.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.
According to John Harbaugh, Isaiah Likely's recovery is on the right track. The coach was clear. The player is in a good place, and Harbaugh was pleased with what he saw in Friday's practice. And when Harbaugh sends this kind of message, fans know it's not just words. It's a sign that progress is consistent and measurable. This statement, simple as it may seem, changes the mood. The coach could have spoken cautiously, emphasized recovery time, or downplayed expectations. But instead, he highlighted progress, showing that the evolution is real and that Likely is starting to take solid steps toward a full return. That gives reassurance to everyone, including Likely himself. And here's an important point. Confidence isn't just about words. It's about perception. Harbaugh saw firsthand how Likely moved, how he reacted to drills, and how he approached each rep. When the coach says a player is in a good place, it's about both the physical and mental readiness to return without fear. This combination of physical progress and confidence from the staff creates a far more encouraging picture than weeks ago. Of course, it's still not enough for him to play this Sunday, but it shows that the countdown to his comeback has truly begun. And this is crucial, because it makes the Ravens' decision not to put him on injured reserve even more meaningful when you think about what's coming in the next weeks. The hope remains alive, largely because the Ravens chose not to place Isaiah Likely on injured reserve. That decision, made at the start of the season, already showed the team believed in a quick recovery. Now, with practice gradually resuming and Harbaugh showing confidence, it's clear his return could happen very soon. The dates fans are watching most closely: Week 3 against the Detroit Lions on a big Monday Night Football, or Week 4 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Another huge matchup. Those are exactly the kind of stages where the Ravens would love to have Likely available, and it doesn't seem unlikely that he could be ready for at least one of them. There's also an extra element. The expectation that when he returns, Likely will fully take over the tight end role. His 2024 stats, 42 receptions for 177 yards and 6 touchdowns, show a player on the rise, ready to become the main target in the middle of the field. Every day of recovery brings that moment closer. The challenge is balancing urgency with patience. The Ravens need him on the field as soon as possible, but they also can't rush the process. The next few weeks will be critical, not only for his return, but for determining how much he can impact the team early in the season. And that impact could be exactly the difference the Ravens need to bounce back after a disappointing season opener. Isaiah Likely's absence against the Browns makes it clear just how important he is for the Ravens. Without him, the offense loses creativity and strength in the middle of the field, and the team will need to reinvent itself to create space and make decisive plays. Every detail matters, and this missing piece could be the factor that swings the game. The good news is that Likely's recovery is moving forward. He's back in practice, showing progress, and if all goes well, his return could happen in the coming weeks. That means the Ravens could have their tight end back soon, ready to take over and change the pace of the offense. Now, the big question: when Likely finally hits the field, will he be able to transform the Ravens' offense and turn the game in their favor? The suspense is real, and every practice leading up to the next matchup will be key to finding the answer.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important, because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.